Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I brought a.
Chillmonger.
Yes, as you can see, first name Chill, last name Monger.
Nice, nice, nice. I actually know a guy, first name Jack, last name Ass.
Ah,
What's funny is you think I'm joking. No, I really know a guy whose first name is Jack, last name Ass. I
oh,
haven't seen him forever. He was actually a farmer back when I was in seventh and eighth grade, junior high back in Jersey. Weirdest freaking thing, but his name was actually Jack Ass.
there- there's a dude whose last name was Dick, and his dad was like, "We're naming this kid Harry." It's bad enough.
Come on, man. People are evil. Just you saw that there's the one couple they named their kid. They have twins, COVID and Corona.
Yeah,
Like
I think that's an Indian couple though, right? So at least it's a little bit different because they don't speak English in that. No, they do speak English in India. Yeah, I don't know. I can't defend that one.
there are areas where they'll speak English, but even then, you go back to India, the people are gonna be like, hello, what are those English words?" No matter
So
where you go.
usually celebrities do that stupid thing there's a name ABCDEE and you pronounce it Absidy. Why do that to your kid? Why subject them to the first day of school attendance teacher laughs her head off because your name happens to be something ridiculous?
Yeah, yeah. I remember just when I was in the military, there was this guy whose last name was Abdelaziz. And of course, it starts with A, ends with Z. So they're just like, hey, A to Z. They never called him by his full name. They couldn't pronounce Abdelaziz. So they just said, hey, A to Z, get over here. And if your name is a real jumble in the military, it's only the last name that shows on your thing. Actually, I think this side says your name and this one says U.S. Army. Anyway, they'd be like, hey, alphabet, get over here.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's always the best. Oh man. Hey, so we're here to talk about comic books and stuff, right?
Mm.
So what's on the agenda for today, my monger of chill?
I think that the hottest topic would have to be DC Comics deciding, "Hey, Diamond, we don't need you," and going on and distributing through two different places. You might know more about it than I do.
Yeah, yeah. That's like the men on film from In Living Color. That's 3 snaps and a circle. Like they just went all into that one, dude. So on the same freaking day that Diamond's like, hey, check it out. We're going to get back into business again. And we're going to start paying our publishers with the money that you sent us and the new money that we send in. And we're going to start making payments to everybody. And we're going to fix our crap, dude. And this is surprising what happens next. So when DC says, not only are we going to start bypassing you, okay, but to a degree, we're still going to sell through Diamond, but we're also going to make our stuff available with 2 different distributors, one for the East Coast, one for the West Coast. So we can actually start sending our stuff out at the same time. And they're all like, yeah, you're just, the little point to the temple, like, they're smart.
Nice.
Have you by chance seen the reaction from comic book stores though?
Oh, they don't like that? Why?
I'm going to say easily 50% of the stores are pissed. They're like, first off, we enjoy dealing with Diamond. Every time that the companies themselves, the publishers themselves, send out the comic books, they always come in wrinkled and muffed and scuffed, and you get horrible customer service, and stuff like this. But we're used to dealing with Diamond, and they have dealt with us fairly. On top of that, by you sending us this stuff, it is breaking the laws of our state by doing that stuff. At the end of the day, hey, DC, are you also going to be putting out your movies and saying you got to come and see our movies by the end of the month? No, you're not, because that would be dangerous. But so is sending these comic books. So, if some of the stores can get to the stuff and some of them can't because some of the stores are still closed, some of the states are still closed and things like that, then the comic books aren't going to be distributed evenly. Hey, somebody might wind up getting their hands on Batman number 92, which is a big deal people are waiting for, like a month before other people. By the way, James Tynion IV made sure he put out, he's like, I know that Batman number 92 is like the biggest one that everybody's waiting for. That's not going to come out until June, so chillax. Dude, there are people who are actually like what do you call the local comic book stores who are pissed at DC for this.
Okay, I'm too busy being happy that there's another seller distributor in town.
Mm-hmm.
It is too soon health
Yeah.
wise. We don't want anything to really continue in June is when they wanted, or is it May? When did they say that they would start?
By the end of this month.
That's too soon. Way too soon.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the best idea was the original idea of I'm going to release these digital comic books, and here's a code that if you buy these digital comic books at full price, you can go to your comic book store. They'll be waiting for you so that you can actually pick up the physical copy also, but at least the great stories can continue. At the end of the day, a lot of some of the distributors are happy, like, oh yay, we can actually start selling stuff. And these are the people whose quarantine never really went into place, or they got lifted. It was a soft quarantine. I'm talking about Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, like mainly Florida more than anything else. But as far as like some of these comic book stores, dude, they're actually mad at DC and like, why are you trying to put Diamond out of business? Why are you trying to jeopardize our health and safety by doing this? They did point out that the COVID-19 can actually survive on paper and cardboard or plastic for up to 3 days. And those are literally the three materials that are used for the for comic books and the Mylar bags and the cardboard backing for the. It's like, dude, you're just trying to kill us at this point.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
also feel like the comic book stores saying that are like Sam Jackson's character in Django Unchained, where you got to be nice to the master. Diamond Comics has been so good to us, so we got to put this front on. Just wait for these comics to come back crumpled, and wait for the reasons to complain. Wait for that to happen first before you start defending Diamond to the ends of time.
No, because you still have to pay for these things. And on top of that, a lot of these guys, mind you, unlike us, who are waiting for checks to come, a lot of the businesses have already been bailed out, or they know that the bailout is going to happen, or they've worked out deals with their landlords who have worked out deals with their higher ups so that they don't have to pay because they don't want all of these businesses, big business or small businesses, to shut down. So it's like, hey, listen, I'm good right now. Why am I going to risk my health and safety, or the health and safety and the well-being of my customer base for a couple of lousy comic books? Let's be realistic. Nobody makes money off of comic books.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if I can't open like at Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles, if they can't open the candy store also, if they can't be selling the statues and the toys and all this stuff that, really generates the income, if they can't have their Magic the Gathering games, which they're trying to do online now, mind you. Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles are trying to do the Magic the Gathering online. You can opt in on the tournament and stuff like that. But like, those are some of the ways that they would make their money, So if they can't do those things, then what's the point? It's just for DC to try and get their, for the most part, crummy comic books out.
They should know that their customers are also Marvel customers as well as the other independents, but they should move with Marvel at times like this and realize that they're more united than they think they are.
100%. And at the end of the day, like, I know there's going to be some people who are going to try and argue that, no, DC's better than Marvel. I'm sorry. Aside from like when the beginning, like the first couple of weeks for New 52 and the first couple of weeks for, what do you call it? Rebirth,
Uh,
Marvel as a whole. I'm not talking about individual comic books. It's unfair to put Batman against almost anything. But as far as like general comic book sales, Marvel blows DC away. You know what
I
I'm
think
saying?
it's subjective. If someone wants to tell me Shazam and Wonder Woman is doing it for them, then okay.
Oh, 100%. But DC is not going to make the sales that Marvel is going to be making. And this is one of the things that the distributors are saying. It's like, why am I going to try and, get out 5 copies of Daphne Byrne?
Well, maybe this will give them a head start. These Marvel customers will come to DC now because we had their back. If they got that comic book itch, we'll relieve it with Batman 92.
I don't see it happening. I really don't see it happening. Marvel's been doing the things that we've been talking about by releasing free comic books online. You know what I'm saying? They've been putting stuff out there. Joe Quesada stepping up and saying, hey, man, let's have a conversation on Marvel, 5 days a week or so. Let's talk to, some of the other people who are out there. DC started doing that also. They had they had Brian Michael Bendis on The
Oh,
comments in that video was horrible. I watched the video. I didn't watch the last 10 minutes of it, I think, because I was just really busy
how
today.
long?
It was about 45 minutes or so, 46 minutes, something to that effect. It was fun. Look, I know there's people who hate Brian Michael Bendis and whatnot, but I think that it's a weird thing. I'm not a fan of what he's writing right now, but I don't hate the man. You know, I wish him good luck and everything. Like he's got an eye patch right now because he's sick again, and he wound up hurting his right eye in a bad way, and he's just like he's a regular human being. I just look at it as, I hope that he's okay. He's a family man. He's got a bunch of kids and whatnot. I don't want them to be fatherless. Like, come on.
Oh,
So there are people like wishing death on him and stuff like that, and they're happy that he's in pain or like he could lose his eye or something. Like, come on, man. Yeah. So the comments, but the comments mostly are tasteful. Just like you're ruining comic books. You're ruining Superman. One of the things that I was actually happy to see is people saying you ruined Super Sons. Because to me and to a lot of people, I'm glad that I'm not the only person talking about that. Because in excess, I have talked about how, hey man, check this out, freaking Super Sons was the best comic book that DC was putting out. Sales has shown that also, and I have it, straight from several of the people at DC. Saying several writers and creators who have said, yeah, he made a call and said that I don't want Super Sons to go on because I have something I plan on doing with Jonathan Kent, the Superboy. And then we saw what he was doing, and he's really just trying to imitate Super Sons in the Justice League right now, or the Justice League, the Legion of Superheroes right now. And it's like, dude, that's not the same. So I'm glad that people are at least mentioning that. Hopefully he does read the comments. Hopefully he does see that, yeah, there are a couple of likes, but there's an equal number of dislikes or close to an equal number of dislikes, and the comments are what really do it. Ignore the ones where people are saying, I hope you die. I hope that I hope that he is actually paying attention to the comments that say, we don't like what you're doing with the superheroes right now.
I don't know. He may not see the dislikes depending on which eye patch is being blocked off. If it's the right
That is
side.
messed up, man. That is messed up. Sam Humphries gave this guy enough. He's like, when did you, because, he's already bald. He's got the eye patch. He's like, when did you become Deathstroke?
Ooh.
Sam Humphries was actually doing the interview, which I thought that was just great. So like these are actually a good team because they are clearly friends. And Bendis has a great sense of humor. He just lets the jokes roll off him. He's just like, and just moves on. So it was a fun interview. I have to, acknowledge it was a fun interview. But it was mostly about the Legion of Superheroes. So if you don't care about that team or that comic book, you're probably not going to enjoy the interview. I'm just saying.
I watched the Joe Quesada interview with Deborah Ann Wool. She plays Karen Page in.
Yeah, and her saying that she hasn't found work since Daredevil, that breaks my heart.
Yeah, because she was really good.
Yeah, she was very believable. So I mean, like, how have you not found work? So yeah, hopefully Daredevil comes back soon so that we could put her back to work. Real talk. Vincent D'Onofrio wants to do it, man. Charlie Cox wants to do it. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a single fan out there who's gonna be like, I don't know. Please talk to us. I would love to hear from you because I really want to know what's on your mind. What else we got?
Let's go on to Donny Cates, the other DC.
Okay, so after I just got finished talking, the other DC, nice. I see what you did there. After I just talked about how I'm not particularly happy with the way that he's been handling himself online and getting into fights that he doesn't need to be getting into fights.
We're gonna give a standing ovation now.
Yeah, I don't know about a standing ovation because I come from the school of thought that you don't do good deeds and then brag about them. You don't post them and stuff like that. So listen, I'm not giving the guy a free pass. I'm not giving him a total free pass, but like honorable, more than an honorable mention. That is really cool. He's going in. This is directly helping comic book stores. I get the idea of selling a sketch to the highest bidder and stuff like that. Things like that are cute, at the end of the day. And you've got Chip Zdarsky like, hey man, check this out. What I'm willing to do is I'll the highest bidder, I will get on a Zoom conversation with you, and Zoom will steal all of your data and sell it for like 0.0002 cents per name that I give. That was in the news.
And YouTube doesn't. They all do that. If it's on the internet, they're
Well,
taking
this
your
is
data.
true, but we're not paying for YouTube. You have to pay for Zoom. So it's like I'm paying for you and you're going to steal my information also. Kind of not cool. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the he's like, "Hey, I'll make up a sexy comic book and I'll read it to you directly for like 10 minutes on Zoom." That is creepy as all hell, and I'm not aboard for that. But Chip Zdarsky is hysterical, and anybody who's got that kind of sense of humor, by all means, go. But like, I don't want that done to me. That's freaky. But I'm more than happy to watch somebody have that done to them.
He knows his audience.
He does. He knows his audience, his sex criminal audience. You've got a whole bunch of people doing a bunch of really cool things, and I'm all aboard for it. But Donny Cates literally does the most direct thing possible. He goes up and he says, "Listen, I am going to buy your." And this is 2 stores in Texas where he lives. I'm going to go in. I'm buying all of the comic books that are still in the pull lists. For anybody who doesn't know what a pull list is, basically you can go to your local comic book store. Hopefully they do this for free instead of charging you to have a pull list. But basically you say, listen, I am guaranteed going to buy this comic book, and this comic book. So every month when this comic book comes out, every issue, make sure you put this in my bin. You could do that with an individual like limited series or an event. You can say, I want all of the tie-ins or none of the tie-ins, just the main, event. Or you can say whatever. You could literally say, I want this and this and this, title, and they will put this and hold this in the bin for you so that if you can't come in on Wednesday morning as soon as the store opens, you can come in like on Friday or next Wednesday and say, hey, can I get the stuff that's in my pull bin? And your stuff is already waiting for you. And nobody can buy this stuff out before you get there. So, if you missed out on like the first appearance of this character, it doesn't matter if you have a pull list and you had that book on your pull list. And there's a bunch of people who don't actually pay for their pull lists, and after a while, it's like it becomes a burden for the comic book retailers because that's books that could have and would have, most of the time would have sold when it was still new on the rack. And Donny Cates comes in for 2 of these comic book stores and says, I will buy all of the books on your pull list and leave them in there so that people can come in and get those books. And the only thing he asks for, he says, I hope that these people take at least some of that money, if not all of the money that they saved, and turn around and buy a different comic book, an indie book, maybe buy a book for your friend, buy a gift certificate for your friend, buy a statue, or buy something that you were, a little hesitant for getting, but you got some found money now, so buy something else with it. Keep the money circulating in the store. And you get to, at the very least, say, Donny Cates bought my comic book, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah. And you should publicize these things because that feeling that me and you just got when we're like, wow, Donny Cates did a great thing, that may encourage others to also do something. When you're a celebrity and you want to do these great acts of generosity and you want to tweet about it, I'm not so against that. There's a lot of good that comes out of that.
Those comic book retailers were going to do that anyway, and people were going to get a hold of this, and people were going to ask Donny Cates about it and all that stuff. He didn't have to actually be the one to put, and again, this is just my personal taste, and maybe somebody's going to say I'm nitpicking, and you have every single right in the world to say that. We're all different. But I grew up from the school of thought that you do not advertise your good deeds. You know what I'm saying? So that's just where I come from. But like that's literally my only gripe, if you can even call that a gripe. I think that this is still an amazing thing that Donny did, and I wish that more people would do this.
Think about how little money he has. This isn't a big corporation or a sports league where they dedicate 3 minutes before the beginning of the game to tell you we went to a hospital and look at the pictures that they took. No, this is someone with how much do comic book creators really make, honestly, compared to these other millionaires? And he's
Agreed.
dedicating that much of his money to something like that. I'm good with every part of what he did.
No, agreed. He's not like opening up a charity or doing an auction or doing some little thing here and there where it's like mostly a big name thing. No, he went directly to the direct market and said, hey, I'm going to put money in your pockets, money
You
that
guys,
you were owed anyway. It's literally the most intelligent thing that anybody out there has done so far. Too many people, they're so separated from reality, and they think they know what's best for people. No, you don't. Go directly to the market and buy the stuff. That's where the sales actually come from. There's no
Exactly.
trickle down. Trickle down doesn't work. That never freaking works. You know what I'm saying? Donny Cates made more of a difference for those two stores than donating a piece of art and then, letting the money trickle to several different stores. That's not going to do much of anything. That pull
Right.
list thing, though, that's a huge thing. And I've argued that many times for people. The best thing that you could do right now to help out your LCS is to actually go in and pick up your pull list. So yeah, it was absolute genius. What else?
You want to talk about Chadwick Boseman? Everybody, the Black Panther got really thin, but it didn't just happen this week. Everybody, he's been thinning out. Go watch his performances throughout his 4 movies. Every time you see him, he gets skinnier and skinnier. He is a vegan now. Everyone, he's not as buff and muscular. We're just gonna have to accept that he's not gonna look like comic book T'Challa. But as far as regular human beings, he's perfectly in shape. He's not filming for another year because 2022 of May is when his film comes out. They probably filmed that in May of 2021. He's got a full year to get in the gym and look the part. And people are losing their minds because Chadwick Boseman's skinny. It's okay.
Is he gonna have to take like whey protein
Protein.
shakes to like get buff again? I think that it's a really great idea. Yeah, it is weird for the comic book movies and roles like for actors when you gotta like buff up and whatnot, but it is extremely healthy. I do applaud him. As a survivalist, I really do, and 50% prepper, I really do think that it's a great idea, and I would love to be able to go vegan, honestly. You know what I'm saying? And only eat meat when it's like, oh no, I'm in the middle of the wood, like, because that happens all the time. I would love to be able to do that. I would love to be able to go vegan. Maybe one of these days I will, or at least become like vegetarian.
Yeah.
Vegan might be a little bit too far,
I still
but
need my
we'll see.
pizza.
Huh?
I still need my pizza.
Oh, they have, yeah, because like no bread or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. I know people who were vegan back in the day and like, no, don't eat honey. Don't eat honey. Psh, it's one of the healthiest things you can eat. So no, I'm still gonna eat honey. I loves me some honey. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I saw the pictures, and that was like 2 weeks ago. And I looked, I was like, wow, he's looking kind of skinny. And I literally like kept scrolling. I didn't think anything of it, whatever. But now this week, people are talking about it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a slow news week.
It really is. It really is. And next.
Like I said, it's a slow news week.
Oh, is that all you got?
That is something else I had. I just forget. We want to talk about the WWE and how all of their
really do.
roster has been just downsized at a time like this. Vince McMahon, come on now.
Right? Like this is literally a butt face thing to do. So I am on inews.com. I'm going to share my screen for the people who are looking at this on my YouTube channel later on. This is the list of people who were fired, and it's messed up. It's genuinely messed up. So we got Drake Maverick, who, mind you, he just put out a video. He put out, like, I think it was a tweet. It was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds or something like that, where at one point he actually starts crying because he's like, I'm being fired. These are like, I don't even get to say goodbye to my friends in person. And it was genuinely moving. It was like, it was really sad that they did something like that. Like, wow. Meanwhile, they're keeping people like Goldberg. With all due respect, they're keeping people like Goldberg, who with these guys being fired, they saved about $2 million, I think it was. That's it. That's how little these guys were being paid. Meanwhile, how much is Goldberg being paid? Right? Like this pays for his appearance at Saudi Arabia alone. And I'm sorry, if like rich people sometimes get just a little bit too full of themselves. Rich people get a little bit too much like, oh, I know what's best for this, that, and the other thing. And no, you don't. And this is proof of it. The majority of fans are saying, why Goldberg? But meanwhile, they're getting rid of Drake Maverick. They're getting rid of Kurt Hawkins. Why? They're getting rid of Zack Ryder. I also saw that somewhere on here. they're getting rid of Zack Ryder, which breaks my heart because these two, they've got there it is down there. They've got this show that they do on YouTube where they're big on Instagram also, where they go around to different stores, all wherever they're traveling for to go to Raw and whatnot, and they stop off at local toy stores and they look at the figures and they're like, oh, check this out, blah blah blah, and it's really awesome. They'll go to private stores and they'll buy things, and how much did I spend versus how much did you spend. They'll visit the Funko Pop Factory and they'll buying all these different things. Like, it's a great show, and they even sell their own figures and sets and whatnot, and they got rid of these guys. Wow, idiotic, absolutely idiotic, the amount of money that these guys were and attention that these guys were bringing in. Here's a huge surprise: they got rid of Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Now, what's AJ Styles going to do now?
They were just main eventing WrestleMania, and then this week they're gone.
Like, how insane is this? How insane is this?
The time of it is what bugs me. I know that those two signed like a 5-year deal just recently, just to keep them away from signing with AEW. But I guess as of right now, the AEW threat isn't as important. Here's the deal: the USA Network and Fox, they pay for 48 weeks of live programming, and because they have gone 4 weeks of not live programming, the WWE is afraid that they'll lose out on their $2 billion or $200 million TV contract, whatever the hell it is. They want to do live programming. I think they know that they will breach that eventually, and so they're just like, let's cut costs now. The problem is, you're getting rid of these guys, but they can't do anything about it. They are stuck home without the ability to wrestle and make money for themselves. If you were going to do it, you should have held off.
That's what happens, though. That's what happens with these big companies. And besides the idea that Vince McMahon is so completely out of touch with the world, the only reason why he's even allowed to do these live shows is because he is friends with, President Donald Trump. Like, he's appeared in multiple WrestleManias and done angles with him and whatnot, the hair versus hair match and stuff like that. He's friends with him. Linda McMahon was part of his cabinet of not his cabinet, his the Small Business Association secretary or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, these guys have close ties. So again, it's who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So lucky him. He now gets to be a part of that sports world where he can go live in the first place, as opposed to saying, it's not my fault that this contract is broken. Look, virus and stuff like that. It's just really sad. And now these wrestlers are stuck going back and forth. And no, most of the wrestlers do not live in Florida.
A lot of them do. There's a lot of wrestlers.
Not even half of them, though. And now these guys have to travel to Florida,
They don't have to do anything. I'm actually on the side of Vince on this one. If I want to say no, I don't want to wrestle, it can be done. Brian is doing it. Reigns did it. The top stars have done it. Same with something like going to South.
That's great when the top stars do that, but these are also freelance agents. So if he says, well, I'm not going to fire my big stars, but I am going to fire my little guys.
Yeah. You get rid of the little guys. But what is little in wrestling? It's a fake sport, as much as no one wants to admit it. Rusev, Zack Ryder, these guys are stars in my eyes. They can do anything. But in the eyes of Vince McMahon, no. Like,
in the eyes of Vince McMahon, I am not going to cut my salary, and none of us, bigwigs are going to cut our salary. We're the really important stuff. No, I'm going to get rid of a bunch of no-name people.
EC3 has gotten fired, but EC3 is a better guy on the microphone than most of the rest of the WWE.
They won't even put him on the microphone.
So it shows you this is all like a sport in which one man's opinion in his league matters the most.
Yeah, which is disgusting. Here's, I got kids. Heath Slater, he's fired. Aiden English, he's fired. Eric Young, EC3, like you said. Leo Rush. Kurt Angle is fired. You fired an Olympic gold medalist who won on a broken neck with a broken freaking neck. They got rid of Sarah Logan, who they've never used right in the first place. Mike Chioda, Primo, and Epico, which they haven't been doing anything with them anyway. They're the Colon Sons. They're going to bounce right back. They're going to Puerto Rico. They're going to work with Carlos, and they'll be perfectly fine. They got rid of Rowan, which is heartbreaking. It's like, dude, you finally started to do something good with him. Mike Kanellis, who was trying to get out of his contract anyway, Maria Kanellis, who was trying to not get out of her contract. There's Zach. No Way Jose, which they didn't do anything with him anyway.
He's tall. They should have.
Alexander Jasic, Diona Perez, and to me, most importantly, there's no longer a Rusev Day. There is no longer a Rusev Day in WWE. You just pointed out before we went live, the highest selling shirt last year.
And now he's out of here.
That is insanity. Like, they love the idea of keeping people down, keeping certain people down. It's like, oh, this person's getting ahead, but I don't want this person to get ahead. I'm going to keep this guy down. Like, these games have to stop. I was finally able to watch yesterday the Dark Side of the Ring with the Fabulous Moolah. And regardless of what anybody wants to believe or disbelieve in regards to, you know, what she's done in the past, you got to admit that the thing that they did with Wendy Richter was, are you familiar with that story?
Yeah, it was a screw job where they small packaged her and she was under a mask and Wendy Richter didn't know. All of a sudden, the match begins, pin 1, 2, 3. She even kicked out of it too, but they decided
after one.
After one.
Yeah, I was watching that match. I was watching when she first showed up. I was watching the Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling TV show where she was there. It was Wendy Richter and the Fabulous Moolah. And I remember it was like, I loved that cartoon. It's one of the best theme songs you're ever going to come across, you know? And they got rid of Wendy freaking Richter because they're just like, yeah, she's getting too big for britches. She's asking to be paid equal to what the guys are being paid.
Oh, we got a Brie Larson over here.
Yeah, right? We got a Brie Larson over here, pre-Brie. Like, it's ridiculous. And I loved watching Wendy Richter. I loved it. And I remember saying to my father, because the only time I was allowed to come indoors when it wasn't raining or dark was when wrestling was on. And I remember the one time I said to my father, where's Wendy Richter? I was like, oh. It's like, you know, Fabulous Moolah won the belt back and then just sat on the belt forever. They got rid of the division, if that's even the case. It was only really Wendy Richter and Fabulous Moolah running the show. It just broke my heart, man. It's like you could have had a women's division back then that could have mattered, and you didn't bother because you couldn't see how important something like that would be. They wanted Megan Glow, the glamorous ladies of wrestling or something like that, which showed that you can actually have an all-women's company and people will watch it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's funny. People will watch women. It took them a while.
Right? Wow. Like that literally, like, with all due respect, a lot of people like to say, oh yeah, man, rich people, they're so smart. Look at Vince McMahon. Please tell me this guy is actually smart. I'm sorry. How's that XFL doing for the second time? This guy once again just lost like $1 billion+ over the XFL yet again. And he wants to sit there and what's the excuse? What's the excuse? Sports are open now. You know what I'm saying? As of late this week, sports are open. So what's the problem? How come you can't make money off of this?
Essential services.
Yeah.
Sports.
And he lied and he said, I didn't use WWE money for this. Clearly you did, bud. Clearly you did. Vince McMahon is a garbage businessman. I don't care who wants to argue otherwise. He's a garbage businessman. He literally got rid of, in my opinion, at least more than half of the people on there were top tier talent who he's been holding down, or somebody's been holding down. At the end of the day, all those decisions come through Vince, right? There's a bottleneck of ideas. He is the choke point, you know? All of that comes through him, and for him to just be like, yeah, I don't want Rusev to get any bigger than this. Well, then you're stupid, because we're saying yes, and meanwhile you're pushing your version of Roman Reigns on us for a while. You know, it seems like they got off his neck and let him just be him, and we're enjoying Roman Reigns now. But like when you start filling people's mouths with your words, dude, stop the micromanagement. Yeah, some people, they really just don't get it.
Yeah, you see it on TV, in the magazines, the celebrities who want sympathy. All they do is piss and moan on like the Rolling Stones, talking about how
the magazine
life should be, huh?
The magazine Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Rolling Stone.
I like to see them for like 1 week to like live life on the streets. I don't think they'd survive.
No, they wouldn't know how to. Rich people don't know how to
It's
survive
just
poor.
a day or two walking in someone else's shoes, they'd stumble, they'd fall. They would fall.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. How do you people survive like this? What do you mean, you people? You mean poor people? Is that what you're saying?
The only person who's good at it is Charlotte Flair,
Why?
because that's her character. Like the lifestyle of the rich and the famous thing, like
Oh,
she can pull it off.
gotcha. Being super rich and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you got me.
Oh, I got you. What did I get you on?
You got
I wasn't
like
trying.
I got you. You said I got you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I was gonna say. I was like, am I that good? I get you without even trying? Damn, I'm smooth, baby. All right.
Comment section if you ever want to ask us a question for the next week's podcast or interact with us.
Oh yeah.
Remember to do that.
Yes, by all means. We are taking questions, folks.
If you get my inside references and stuff, that's what that's for.
Wait, there was an inside reference?
Yeah. There was a good Charlotte reference I just did right now.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I don't know what Good Charlotte is.
It's a rock band.
It is a rock band. Okay, I was going to say, is that like some kind of music band or something like that? I
Yeah.
don't know. Do they know who Led Zeppelin is? Like that's my.
I think Vince McMahon knows because his favorite band is AC/DC. You think who would his favorite Avenger be? You'd think it'd be Iron Man, right?
I don't know if he even knows who the Avengers are.
You're right. I don't think he did.
I honestly don't. Like you think about his sense of humor. Everybody says he likes the fart jokes. He likes toilet humor. You know, saying stuff like that. Which I get it occasionally, but at some point, I mean, just wow. Vince McMahon is a sad story.
Which Avengers movie are you most hyped for coming up that we know about?
I don't usually get hyped for movies, including superhero movies. I usually let them come and go, but I think that the one that has the hands down most potential is Eternals.
I gotta see the trailer for that. Do you watch the trailers the way I do? Like, day it comes out, I need to know what's happening.
Nah. Usually I'll get somebody on the channel to make a comment. I'll be like, oh, I got some a whole bunch more comments. Let me check what's going on. Let me scroll through it. But there's a new trailer I have to watch. They want me to do a reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I could do a reaction. But for the most part, yeah.
That'll be like the first sense of, oh, everything's back to normal when we get that Eternals trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
That'll be a February release.
I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. Honestly, like I said, this is a really nice lull for me. And so I'm not complaining about this. I like the idea that there aren't any comics coming out right now. I'm good with it. You know, this is a really good time to reflect. You know, it's like getting into a fight, you know, at a tournament or whatever. It's like, you know, and you lose. It's like, this is a good time to reflect right now. What's wrong with my style? What's wrong with, you know, what I did, you know, and everything like that. It's a good time to just stop and take it all in, you know. Maybe Marvel and DC could stop and say, you know, like with Marvel, this snowflake and safe space thing. You know, is Daniel Kibblesmith really good for comics? Has he ever actually done anything great for comics? Or is he just a big name that we'd like to think people are going to be like, Kibblesmith? And we're just like, no.
Yeah. I'm all snowflaked out. I think everyone knows that I'm just, I really don't care. Let's read it and let's react to it. Once it gets, you know, in my hands, then I will. And I pre-ordered that, right? Like that's on my pull list. The dude at the comic shop knows to get me issue number 1. Issue 2, 3, and 4, 5, pending. But issue number 1, I'm definitely getting. And I thought that they were a first appearance, but it's not. Wolf Warner told me that Marvel Voices, that's the first appearance of those characters. No, I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. Children of the Atom first appeared in Marvel Voices. I'm wrong.
Oh, okay. Oh. You know, that's a comic book that I own and I didn't open up yet.
Voices?
Yeah,
what was the point of that, though? It's like we get these celebrities, they all do something that lasts for 1 page, sometimes 2 pages, and then continuity. You think Dan Slott is reading this going, oh, I got to include that in my book? No one actually cares about what happens. For me, you got to prove to me this is worth my money, or I can just wait until it's on Marvel Unlimited. Oh, look, there was that comic that came out. I'm glad I didn't pay for this because has no significance once I read it. I'm not in it for a good story. If I wanted that, I'd be like an independent fan. I would read all the Donny Cates' stuff that he does independently, and Jason Aaron's books and Sex Criminals. I'd read those things. I hear good things about Saga and all the others, but I don't. I care about my continuity. I don't care about Gotham High for that reason. It's not because Bruce Wayne as a teenager upsets me or whatever SJW stuff they're going to do over there. I don't care about books that are outside of continuity because it does me no value. And I hate that DC keeps rebooting.
I like stuff out of continuity. I'm not a fan of the constant reboots. You know what I'm saying? I think that one would override the other. You don't need both. You know what I'm saying? But having one or the other would be perfect. I'd rather just have stuff out of continuity.
You don't feel like a book loses its value after the reboot?
I do. I don't like reboots. That's what I'm saying. I strongly dislike reboots, but I love stuff that's out of continuity. You know, specifically if it's like from a different universe. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it. I love it when there's no reboots and everything's in the same continuity, but I like it when there are alternate universes where, like, let's say like the Ultimate Universe and so on, where you could just here's a different universe where Batman's over here and it has nothing to do with the Batman over there. This is a different Batman and he's going through life and doing these other things. Like, you know, what if Batman did this instead? You know, like Superman Red Sun or Gotham by Gaslight, those kinds of stories.
Okay, but anything can happen there and it has no ramifications.
It has no ramifications on the main continuity, which is a good thing. So you can explore other things over here. Plus, there's nothing saying you can't have an out of continuity story with its own continuity, like the Marvel, like the Ultimate Universe in Marvel. They had their own universe that never, until the end of the Axis event and all that stuff, the beginning of Battle Worlds, where the Ultimate Universe never really crossed over with the regular Earth 616 universe. You know, the 1610 universe. They never crossed over with each other. So it's like, here's a different version of Hawkeye over here than what is over here in the regular Marvel universe. And here's a different Captain America, and here's Captain America. And like, they could both have their own continuity without actually affecting each other. You know, never the twain shall meet. You don't cross the streams.
That doesn't hold with me because one of the universes ended. So knowing that, why even invest in the next time that Marvel or even DC do this alternate universe where a whole line of books come out under that banner? Why even worry about what happens over there? Because one day it'll end. It serves the main universe. So I'll just not waste my money on that.
Have you heard of the Black Label stuff on DC?
Is that another universe?
They're all completely like Elseworlds type stories. They have nothing to do with the regular universe. And literally, it is the best-selling stuff at DC.
Is it the same Elseworlds in this book as that book or all the Black Label books?
Nope, they're all separate. So
well,
the stuff
if it sells, then it sells. I can't argue numbers. I just can talk on my preferences of why I would never do it.
Yeah, and I've been saying for a long time I would like a constant, like The Last God does that in the Black Label universe over in DC. But I would love to just see like an ongoing universe where it's just like, this is separate from the rest. So this way you can have this version of Aquaman. Hey, he's the same Aquaman essentially, but he doesn't have anything to do with that Aquaman, and just he does his things. And this way you can have different fights with each other or whatever, and just you can have different stories. This way you want to do like a reboot, don't bother doing a reboot. Just do a different universe over here. Imagine if New 52 happened in an Elseworlds universe, but meanwhile regular post-crisis stuff was still going. You still had the Blackest Night stuff going, and all that stuff wasn't rebooted. People would have the opportunity to say, hey, am I interested in this New 52 stuff?
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to, this is all, if you want Superman, you got to have this Superman with this freaking Super Goku Gekkai power and stuff like that. Like, what are you, I don't want Superman with a spirit ball, you know? So, yeah.
Spirit ball, not spirit ball.
Whatever. So you shouted out Wolf Warner earlier. Wolf Warner, go and check out this guy's channel. Good people, really big fan, him and his kid on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, but he really mostly on his channel does speculation stuff, which Not a lot of, not too many speculators out there, but he's one of them. So go check it out.
He just gets every comic, so if that makes him a speculator. This dude picks up like 30 comics a week and then just tells you, like, he's kind of like how you used to be, and then just tells you about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You got to read that. You got to read that. Yeah.
What do you mean how I used to be? What am I now?
How many comics did you used to get compared to how many comics you reduced it to?
Gotcha. Yeah, I used to get like 32 to 36 comic books every week. If I got less than 30 comic books, it was a slow week, right?
How did you decide which comics to cut?
By just finally, like, I would just cut, this group, then I would cut that group. And so literally I would just make it so it's like, listen, there are certain characters I can't cut, but if there was first off, any stories that I just wasn't enjoying, I cut it. That's where Man of Steel and Superman went. I'm like, I'm just not enjoying these comic books. I can't keep doing this.
Even though they're really popular.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though it's Superman, like one of my favorite characters. How do you not read Superman? And I was like, I'm going to stop reading Superman because right now all I'm doing is hate reading. Or it feels like I'm hate reading, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to invest in something that I'm not enjoying. So I left. I just left it.
And you did that with Captain America too, who's your favorite?
My absolute favorite. Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. I'm not one of those guys who says, this is my favorite character. I'm going to support this character no matter what. No. I hold my favorites to a higher standard is the way that I choose to do it. And the other way, any way you do it is fine. If you say, I'm always going to buy anything with Spider-Man. I know a guy at the comic book store, locally. If there's anything with Spider-Man, he buys it. If somewhere in the, like on the back cover, Spider-Man's glove hand shows up, he wants that comic book. He wants every single appearance of Spider-Man, no matter how minimum or regulated that it is. And it's like, okay, cool. That's cool. There's him.
Some characters who you can't do that with, and Spider-Man is one of them. And the other would be Wolverine or Batman. But you can't do that. You can do that with like Captain Marvel. She's not in too many comic books. You can do that with maybe even Thor. He's not too popular.
Being in Avengers also, that kind of makes it hard. Do that with a character like Sleepwalker.
Yeah, do it with him. Someone I have him or her. I don't know who that is.
It's him. Well, it's an it. do it with Darkhawk. Saying do it with NFL Super Pro. All right, do it with these characters that have like 40 appearances.
I do it with Ironheart all the time. I'm like, oh, she's in this story that happens. I guess I'm reading Amazing Spider-Man issue number 9.
There you go.
or Unstoppable Wasp when she showed up there on the rooftop talking about to Girl, GIRL, the acronym for the smart girls.
Yep.
I do that with her, so it
nice.
Could be done.
It could. Spider-Man's a hard one to do, but hey, loyalty is where loyalty goes. So
I heard you say that same thing about you're more critical. Like when you're talking to Thinking Critical, you were saying that if I love this character, so I've never had that with the characters I love. They've usually been represented pretty well in comic books. My go-to, like the champions, all the young heroes, they're who I like. Who I think the new.
By the way, check out Wes from Thinking Critical. I just did a crossover thing with him, and that was actually fun. I believe, for the most part, former comics gator, but that was a long time ago for him. It was like a year ago or something like that. Anyway, we really thought that we were going to disagree on pretty much everything, and we wound up not finding anything to disagree on, which is hysterical. And nothing was toxic, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And that's the thing. This, like I said, this is a great time for self-reflection. You know what I'm saying? Just the comic books aren't bombarding us and whatnot. We don't have all the same people screaming in our ears and, my agenda, no, my agenda. And it's like, enough with the agendas. Can I just enjoy the comic books that I enjoy? You know what I'm saying? And when you just stop and have a genuine conversation with somebody and you realize there's not really much to disagree on.
You have more in common than you do opposing each other.
100%.
But tell that to the comment section, because I feel like it's the fan bases that war with each other when you're just like, nah, when we actually speak to each other on any issue, not just comic books, but like someone who's opposing opinion on me on everything else, we're actually very much the same thing. Yeah. We're all human beings who drink water and use the toilet when we have too much of it. We got a lot of things in common, and talking to each other, you'll get to see that. So that, yeah.
Yeah, I prefer to focus on the things that we have in common. And when push comes to shove, that is reflected on my channel, I know, because I encourage that kind of behavior, or at the very least, I discourage the kind of behavior where people start to get too toxic. If someone is too toxic, if someone is, because I saw the comment section too, and I'm glad I mean so much to so many people. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are too toxic and you cannot acknowledge how toxic you are, I don't want that sort of toxicity on my channel. That's simply not what I want. Because if I have that kind of toxicity on my channel, I don't get those really cool interviews with the Richard Paces and the Jim Shooters and the Donnie Cateses and the what do you call it? Not Kirk Russell. Crap. Mark Russells. You know what I'm saying? I don't get the Jim Starlins and all this stuff. I don't get those super cool interviews. If you see people just getting upset all the time and just this is trash and SJW and women suck, and it's like, no, sorry, you get a couple of warnings after a while, you're gone. And if you don't like that, well, I almost feel bad for you, because at the end of the day, you, me, and everybody on YouTube, for the most part, Chillmonger, everything that we do is just spare time stuff, right? Do
Oh
you
yeah.
make a lot of money off of your YouTube channel?
No, I don't make any money at all on my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I
I
need
don't
1,000
really.
subscribers before I could do that.
Right? I don't make nearly, and let's get this guy up to 1,000 subscribers, for crying out loud, guys. Listen to the stuff that he's talking with me on. For the love of God, you don't think he can do, just as good or better without me holding him down, holding him back? Saying my foot on his neck, for crying out loud. This guy's an awesome YouTuber. I wouldn't have picked him otherwise. All right. Get this guy up to 1,000 subscribers so we can start making $5 a month. From freaking, because YouTube does not pay a whole lot of money. So like
Does
all
it?
this, it does not. It does not.
No.
I say it all the time, dude. If anybody had a job where they make in a week
Yeah.
what I make in a month on YouTube, they would quit their job. There would be no questions about it. They would quit their job. The like, I work outside of this. I bust my butt teaching English 6 days a week every morning, and that's where I make my money. You know what I'm saying? That's where I make my money, and my wife works, and commutes to go to work. That's how we make our money. I do not make a lot of money. I barely make enough money on YouTube to have whatever the to buy toys. You know what I'm saying? I'm usually dipping into my own funds to buy toys and whatnot. So no, you just do not make a lot of money on YouTube. That's just the facts. Sorry. So at the end of the day, this is all free content. You know what I'm saying? This is my love for comics, our love for comics. That's what we're here for, our passions. And if like, you can have your opinions, you can have your dissenting opinions, but at the end of the day, you can cry as much and as hard as you want and fill swimming pools and rivers full of your tears crying because Professor Bill blocked me from his channel. Yeah, you don't have access to commenting on my channel anymore unless you make a new account. If you do not comply with the very simple rules of don't be a jerk on my channel. I'm okay with dissenting opinions, but if you are a jerk, if you insult the trans community or the LGBTQ community, or if you insult women, or if you insult men, or if you're just brazenly toxic, I don't want that culture on my channel. That's not the culture that I breed on my channel, or that I try to stoke on my channel. If that's who you are, simply don't comment, and we don't have an issue. And if you see that, hey, nobody else is acting this way, you don't act that way. If you're incapable of complying and noticing the surroundings of like, listen, I don't really have a whole lot of shame. I have no problems walking around naked around the house, in front of windows, outside if I damn well feel like it. I've got nothing to be ashamed of, I'm saying. So, but I do not walk around naked outside. Chillmonger, do you know why I don't walk around naked outside?
Please tell me.
One, it's cold. It's freaking Canada. Come on, man. Shrinkage is a real thing. But
It
aside
just
from that,
snowed. Yeah.
it just snowed. It
Oh.
just snowed. It looked like fallout. No, but at the end of the day, I see that nobody else is walking around naked outside. So I say, it must be the culture around here that we wear clothes. Realistically, it's just that simple. If you don't see people using the same words that you're about to use and insulting other human beings for no other reason than to insult other human beings, if you can't understand that, That, unlike what comic skaters are constantly, through it, not all of them, but enough, the toxic amongst the comic skaters, when they always throw out the word sociopath, please actually look up the word sociopath, because you might actually fit that description. If you cannot look around society, look at you, right? If you can't look around society and realize that people act this way, and if you don't act at least similar in accordance with that way in public, you will be shunned by society. And on my YouTube channel, that's called a block. And that's one of the main reasons why I do get people like Donnie Cates showing up on my stream and just saying, hey, what's up? That's why I get people like, cool artists and whatnot showing up and saying, holy crap, let's have ourselves a conversation, because they don't see that sort of toxicity on my channel. If you are not good for my channel and you cannot keep your lips shut, you are not going to be on my channel anymore. You can go incognito and listen to my videos if you want, but I will not accept comments like that. And if you cannot understand that, I don't care about your tears. You are not worth my time, and you are not what's good for the free content that I put out. So this and a whole bunch of other things, none of my content, none of it is behind a paywall. All of it is open and free. If you can watch a video, if you can watch
Advertisement.
an advertisement and allow me to make a couple of pennies off it, like to buy a cup of coffee, off it, not from Starbucks, but like a cheap McDonald's cup of coffee with you watching an ad, I genuinely appreciate it. But yeah, I don't put any of my content behind a paywall. So
you don't even gotta watch the ads. Just let the ad play as you're deciding what to watch next. Just be like, hey, open a new tab, advertisement plays. Maybe I'll go on my phone and watch. Like, that's the way I operate. I always, especially when you remind people at the end of the videos that please watch the ad. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I might have not, but I will continue and watch this whole ass ad. And if you click on the ad, it helps them out even more. But I'm actually the opposite of how you are, because I've never blocked anyone, with the exception of someone who was a bot, and all they say is like, thank you, or we love your content. And
that guy finally stopped. You didn't have to block him. He finally stopped.
I like the ability to know who you are. If you want to say something, I'd be like, okay, well, I know where you're coming from. Good. It's I'm all about freedom of speech, even if it's something I disagree with. There was one thing that happened in my live stream when I was doing burning questions. That would be this week's. There's two of them. So this week's burning question, someone's name was, hey, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, and it was an insult towards him. Now, I don't watch Geeks and Gamers a lot. I've seen his videos.
I don't know who that is. Is that that's a YouTube channel?
It's a YouTube channel. His name is Geeks and Gamers, and it was insulting him. And as much as I don't like him, and I think he's David Duke's favorite YouTube channel, I think that if you take a shot at the man with your screen name, that's not something I want to get behind. Like, and I told him on air, let's not do that over here. I didn't block the guy. He can say whatever he wanted, but it's not my style to take shots at other people. But I'll keep you. And likewise, if someone else came in who was saying, let's just say, I don't want to say it, but let's just say they're saying something toxic, I'd keep you. I wouldn't block you. Okay, you said something toxic. I disagree with what you said, and now it's your choice to whether you should watch me or not. But I'm like all for, let's get everyone in here and let's not be an echo chamber. Not that I'm saying you are an echo chamber, because you have every right, because it is your property, your channel. You get to say who gets to contribute or not contribute.
Yeah. No, I'd like to think I'm not an echo chamber. I put up with a lot. Somebody just went and commented in Arabic, may the curse of Allah be upon you. I was like, okay, sure.
Was that over last week's podcast that we recorded?
No, not over this. It was off of one of the X-Men videos that went up, the one that showed the Kaaba disappearing.
Yeah, because the thing we discussed last week.
Oh, that. Yes, that. Somebody just did that. I'm like, okay. So I responded to him in Arabic also, which I think is fun.
You got an Arabic keyboard?
Yeah. Yeah, I have when I originally signed up for Google, it was actually in Saudi Arabia. So my default screen, unless I say otherwise, is Arabic Google. So it's just types in. So I can do the
good way to remember the language.
It is, because you forget language. Languages aren't like riding a bike. You can forget how to freaking write in a language. And aside from English, that's the only other English I know, or the only other language I know how to write in. But
I just tell myself that the Kaaba did not disappear. There was an invisibility cloak that was put above it. Same with the other religious figures, and that's why Dust in issue number 10 of X-Men Disassembled, when everyone assembled and they were all there, that's why she wasn't part of that. She was actually in Mecca checking up on it and trying to figure out why is there an invisibility cloak over here covering it. So nothing actually happened to it. And then we get to see Champions, where she joins the team, and then they're like, "Hey, where have you been?" She goes, "I was with family." And I'm like, well, I remember her backstory. Her family was actually in Afghanistan, and her mom went missing at the end of New X-Men Hellions. Remember that? Issue number 4. It would be the Kingmaker. What's his name?
I don't remember that. I know their family's from Afghanistan, though.
Shadow King might be his name. Shadow King. That's an X-Men villain, right?
Yeah, the X-Men enemy. Oh, geez. Yeah, Amal Farouk.
He introduced her mom back to her. He's like, "Hey, I brought you back with your mom." And even like Rockslide got to be a wrestler, and everyone got their dreams come true. All you have to do is this mission for us, and all the Hellions did it. And then all of a sudden, he took that away from them because they decided they didn't want to play ball with him anymore. And then she went back to that refugee camp. Her mom wasn't there. So when she says in Champions, which came out last year, "I was with my family," I'm like, "What's she talking about? Her family's missing." Now I'm saying she was with her family, as in the Muslims. So she was in Mecca with her family, which explains why she didn't show up when Jean Grey put out that psychic thing. "Hey, everyone, come join us. We're all going to fight the final battle," because Apocalypse had his 4 new, or Age of X-Man. What's his name? X-Man. What's the X-Man's name?
X-Man.
Nathan?
Yeah, Nathan Gray.
So Nathan Gray had his 4 Apocalypse agents, and that's why she didn't join, because she was too busy with something more important to her. So it all works for myself. And then she realized, oh, it's just like little invisibility cloak. And when he did his thing and left, it all works out. So nothing.
I love headcanon.
Headcanon is beautiful. Hey, you know, Thinking Critical said the same thing I said to you about Jean Grey and Iceman.
What?
About how he's not gay. He's gay, but he's not super gay. It was a psychic attack on him. Like young Jean Grey saw the playboy this guy is going to be. He was with Mystique. The way he treats women, the way he was with Kitty Pryde, and then he said something really sexist, and then at that moment she's like, "Nah, none of that." Boom. "Hey, Iceman, you're actually gay, Bobby. Why would you do that?" She psychically changed him into being someone who's gay, and then everyone's gonna come at me like, "Oh, but Uncanny X-Men 600, they spoke to each other, the past Iceman and the regular Iceman," and he confirmed it. Well, who else was there at Uncanny X-Men 600? Jean Grey got to the old one and just psychically put that in. And now she's stuck with this, like, I just made this guy gay. Do I tell him or do I not tell him? And then she will tell him. This is the headcanon part. I feel like there's a story where she will tell him. And, like, "I'm sorry for what I did, but I just saw the man that you were going to be. I didn't want that when I was younger." Because after the extermination event that Ed Brisson wrote, they retained their memories from when they were younger. That's why Cyclops remember his champion days. So now they're going to ask him, like, the question's going to come up. Now that you know Iceman, do you choose to be gay or do you not? And then we get a story out of that.
Wow, that's
headcanon, baby.
I don't like that headcanon.
So you like a character who's been straight his whole continuity until like 2014?
No, I just don't like yours any better. You can equally dislike 2 things and just be like, let's not make it more confusing. Because then you got Hawkman. Then you got the most confusing character in all of comic book history.
What's his story?
Dude, he's got about 1 billion stories. Like, he's been rebooted so many times, hard reboots in normal continuity. And it's like, nobody knows what Hawkman is at this point. Is he an alien? Is he just reincarnated? Is he this? Is he that? And like the current Hawkman series fixed a whole lot of that. But the next person who writes Hawkman is going to be like, nah, screw that. And change him up again. Hawkman has suffered from the crises events more than any other character.
Yeah.
Oy. So anyway,
let me run by some questions. Were you going to go somewhere? Because I want to test some things out on you.
Okay.
I was asking myself on my comic book channel how old the Hulk is in the films. Not Branner, Hulk.
Oh.
This is the way I tackled it. He becomes the Hulk, and in the beginning of the movies, he was only saying like one word stuff. Hulk, smash, angry, no, like things like that. And then the older he gets, like in Ragnarok, we found out ever since Age of Ultron, he's been in the Hulk form, and he's speaking in sentences. And I think at that time, Hulk was maybe a 6-year old, a 7-year old, and then as he aged with Banner joining him and being one, that was like 5 years, right? So
Mhm.
now Hulk would be a teenager, and he's a little bit smarter. Movie by movie, he's been getting smarter.
That's actually a really interesting take. I never considered it that way.
All right, so you do like my headcanon. God.
Oh, I like the first one and I like this one. It's the one in between. I'm just like, yeah, no. I'm saying I didn't like that headcanon.
Did you ever think of that though? How old do you think
And like
Hulk
I
is?
said, I never considered it that way. I literally just looked at it as he became like a Neanderthal when he turned into Hulk form, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never looked at it as, oh, this is a brand new being that's being created and he's only, this many years old. So I never considered it that way. That's interesting.
Yeah, just fun questions like that. Like I asked myself, did Shuri actually delete that footage as she was told?
I remember you talked about that one. That was great. Delete that footage. No. That's going on Wakandan Instagram. Oh man. So not too shabby, not too shabby. I think this was fun.
Hmm.
We should do this again sometimes. Hey, how about next week, same time?
Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Awesome, awesome. Since literally this is like the only time that we ever talk to each other, like once a week we talk to each other here because we don't want to oh hey, remember last week we were talking about or 2 days ago we were talking about such and such. Nah, dude, like everything is fresh. Everything is freaking fresh. You never know what's going to happen next.
Never.
All right. So don't forget, people, wear clothes because other people are wearing clothes.
If
And Chillmonger's headcanon, hit or miss. And all that being said, yeah, let's get out of here. All right. So Professor Bill and Chillmonger, Comic Book University,
class
class
dismissed.
dismissed. Oh, that was perfect. That was perfect.